biggest thing I got out of the struggles of my life was personal responsibility. It really allowed me to look at it like, hey, the only one who's ever going to change you is you. But, how do you do that? Well, what I've learned is you can't do it alone. I really appreciate the struggle because that's what really allowed me to take a look into my heart, find out who I am, and become the man I'm supposed to be.
All right, we're here doing another episode of the Every Third Saturday podcast, and today we have a special guest, Bob Kelly. Bob is kind of an all-around cool guy. He's doing a lot of stuff. He does a lot of stuff in the community, and he is him and his company have been a big supporter of Every Third Saturday. So, with that, Bob, just introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Well, like you said, Tom, I'm Bob Kelly. I'm from 18 Construction, and start off what an honor it is to be able to sit down with you and Eric and kind of go through and having this opportunity to be a big part of what you guys do. And for me, it's really a special opportunity for me. In our lives and our journeys, it's not always easy. And I think as human beings, we all go through times in our lives where we lose hope. And for me, myself, I've been there. I've been in situations in my life where what happened, and how can I move the bar, move forward, get past to where I was. I grew up in a family, middle-class family. I had 5 brothers and sisters, wonderful parents. Worked very hard for all 6 of us kids, but not all of them opportunities were received. Was, how do you say, not appreciated? I had my own way. I had my own path. I think I knew more than I knew.
Don't we all?
Yeah, right. And honestly, it didn't work out real well. Just like the promises tell us, there's a way to live life, and then there's a way that ain't going to work out. And no matter what your father told you, you still had to find out for yourself. And for me, I took that path. But fortunately, also, it's been kind of a gift because it allowed me to really look in the mirror and find out who I was. And the biggest thing I got out of the struggles of my life was personal responsibility. It really allowed me to look at it like, hey, the only one who's ever going to change you is you. But, how do you do that? Well, what I've learned is you can't do it alone. You need to find resources out there. You need to find people out there that care. And most likely have been through what you've been through yourself. And so that's a little bit about my story. I kind of, like I said, I really appreciate the struggle because that's what really allowed me to take a look into my heart, find out who I am, and become the man I'm supposed to be. Well, it's not easy. It's a struggle. Not every day is a good day. But with the right tools, the right people, you can get through it. And staying connected with people that care about you, that know what you're going through. We all think our story's unique. But the truth is, when you really get down with a group of people, you find out we're a lot of the same. And it's that iron sharpens iron that really helps motivate and continue in doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's life is, as I found the hard way, is about relationships and who's there when you need them, and when you really stepped in it. Who's there to help you clean it up, and I know as a kid I was in quite a bit of trouble and making wrong decisions, and my dad tried to teach me, that ain't the way to go, kid. That's just not going to end well, and he was right, and so it was interesting to hear you say that it's it's that. You think you know everything, and you know absolutely nothing, and so getting Now, I'm 51. I feel like I know something. Not sure what it is yet, but I feel like I know something that I didn't know when I was 21, and so that's helpful. But I don't know, Eric,
I mean, it's going to be, this entire episode is going to be an echo chamber. No, you said when you're sitting down with other folks, you find that your stories are more similar than you might think. Same way, I wasn't a hooligan like Tom when I was a kid, but like great parents, 2 older sisters, like couldn't have asked to grow up in a better environment, and then grow up and start making some stupid decisions. I'm pretty sure my parents thought I was making a stupid decision when I joined the Marine Corps. Probably the best decision I've ever made. But yeah, and like what you're saying too. I mean, both of you, you're talking about having the people around you. You're talking about, having the family that cares, and that's who my people were for the longest time, was my parents. Who, I mean, I still learn something from them every day. So,
and so, you grew up here in Minnesota?
I did, yes.
Okay, and local?
Yeah, north suburbs. Grew up in Coon Rapids, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep, I'm 59 years old.
Okay.
Last year, I got about 7 months left. Before I hit my 60, I don't feel 60, but here we go. I'm the youngest of 6 kids.
Okay.
Last year, I lost my mother, lost my father 6 years ago. And this past year has kind of been a challenge. It's like, I became an orphan. And being the youngest of 6 kids, it comes with its own challenges. But also a blessing. I got a wonderful family. I have 3 children of my own. I have a stepson. I have 7 grandchildren. And if you had asked me 15 years ago if this was possible, I would have said, absolutely not. I mean, 15 years ago, I honestly thought life was over. While I was struggling, someone brought up a program. You might have heard of it. It's Salvation Army, ARC down in Minneapolis.
Sure.
And I remember talking, hey, you could go down here. They give you an opportunity to work. It's a great place. And he phrased it as, they will help you get out of your trouble. And at that time in my life, I was in some trouble, but I wasn't really looking to get out of trouble. I was looking to be done with what I was doing. So when I entered that program, I entered with an open heart, and the biggest thing that I learned when I went in was to shut my mouth, be quiet, listen to those that have been through it before me, and follow the rules. And if I could do them things, I could do this. And what really attracted me to it was a 6-month program. Been through other programs before, and I always did well through them, but it was the longevity that I was looking for, and having that opportunity to have 6 months of rest. And as all I have to do is work for the Salvation Army. They have a bed for me. They have the tools there that can help men who are struggling. I never thought I was a bad guy. I didn't know how to get over the hump to change my life. And that program just appealed to me because of its length. And fortunately for me, I was able to not only go through the program, graduate that program, but I also got offered a job. So I spent 4 years there. I worked as a resident manager. I worked with all the guys, and back in them days, the resident manager was the counselor, the cop, the babysitter. You did it all, and what a blessing that was. I've never grown in my life as much as having that opportunity, and it allowed me to learn how to depend on God. Because I definitely wasn't qualified for the position. So I had to wake up every morning and say, here I am, use me. And it was just an awesome experience. I stayed pretty connected with the Salvation Army for quite a bit. I still talk to a lot of guys that I went through the program with. Still talk to my counselor. He has a ministry that I support, and just having this opportunity to be able to support people that helped you, and also like organizations like yours, for being able to go from no clue what you're going to do and then have this opportunity. And that's why community is so important to me. It's an old adage here. It's not what you get out of life, but what are you willing to give? And I try to hold on to that as close to my heart as I can.
Well, and you're doing it. A lot of people talk the talk, but you're actually doing it, and we can certainly attest to that. You're a huge supporter of ours, and what did that 4 years? I'll back up. So we've been doing this with veterans now for 10 years officially, about 16 years total, and I've learned so much about people, about human beings, and how they operate, and how they actually make decisions. And some you agree with, some you don't. But I've also learned we don't get to stand in judgment of those decisions. That's not up to us. And wondering, did you learn anything in those 4 years of being that babysitter and that cop and that counselor that you still carry with you today?
Yeah, I love everyone. Love everyone. Not everyone is ready, but everyone has that human nature to feel loved and to be able to give that back to people. And I had guys come through that did well. I've had guys that come through and they struggled, and being able to have them seeds planted and watch them struggle early and then finish strong. And then I've had guys that have come through that struggled. They just struggled. But the most important thing that I found is we're not there to make the change. We're there to plant the seeds. This is what helped me, and together and through love, all things are possible. And that's what God, he stands for love. Love thy neighbors, we love thyself. It's a pretty simple concept. Unfortunately for us human beings, it's a hard thing to understand.
Right.
Right? And but with that being said, that was the biggest impact I had. And the reason because when I went into the program, I lost a lot of hope. I really wasn't seeing a lot of good people out there in my life, and because I wasn't surrounding myself with people doing the right thing, Mm-hmm. But the people that I connected with when I came into the program myself, you could see in their heart that they really loved people, and they were there giving freely. And so I just kind of appreciated that. It gave me a better outlook at, we talked earlier about the uniqueness. I thought my situation was unique, and if you would have went through what I went through, you'd have been doing the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I found out that's just an excuse. So, and talked about personal responsibility early on, and being able to take personal responsibility for my mistakes, and be able to transfer that to, every guy that came through that program sat in my office at one point. So I had that opportunity to transfer that personal responsibility into everyone that came through that program while I was there as alive. If they took it, they took it. If they didn't, they didn't. But it wasn't my job. Like I said, I relied on God. I was just there, and I learned to pass seeds, and to give what was given to me, out of someone else's love for me. So.
Well, and I think we see that a lot here too. One of our quarterly meetings, Tom, you talked about, the idea of agape and treating everybody with the same love that God, treats us with. And, I've seen that too. Like we're not here to fix other people's problems. We're not here to solve it for them, but to allow them to be seen and give them that environment of love, or knowing what that feeling is. I think that makes the world a difference right there.
Yeah, that's planting the seed right there. And, you talk about losing hope, and there's a priest in Los Angeles who works with gang members, and he talks about the lethal absence of hope. That's when people make decisions that they can't come back from. like suicide, and so many people out there have lost hope, and really, as human beings, as spirits, as souls, if we don't have hope, we don't have purpose, and we don't have purpose, we don't have meaning, and if we don't have meaning, then we're really swimming upstream, and it's really difficult to see anything good. And so we always want to try and love people so they know that there is hope, even little glimpse. Sometimes you want to make this big impact and it just doesn't land that way, but just a little glimpse of hope can keep someone from making a decision that they can't turn back from, and so that's so important. And to love everybody that comes in is how you give them hope, and so that's really cool that you've developed that through your time at Salvation Army. So you said you were there for 4 years?
Yes.
And then what did you do after that?
Well, while going through the program, I knew it wasn't a permanent job, and it's a stepping stone. Anytime you come through programs, you're trying to, everything's a step, a process, and I like to keep things simple. One of my favorite lines someone told me a long time ago was inch by inch, life's a cinch. I try to stay there, but through the process, I had another gentleman who came in freely at some of the open nights we had for whatever it was, Bible studies, AA programs and stuff, and we had a gentleman come in and got to know him a little bit, and I could feel that it was getting time for me. I have children out there, and I just had 2 brand new grandbabies, and eventually I have to take what I learned at the Salvation Army and have to get out in the place we call the world and practice what I've learned at the Salvation Army. And so he had a roofing company, and he tried to talk me into to tell me, you do real well at it. I got a sales position for you. And I'm like, I've never done sales. I know I can communicate with people good, but never tried sales. I fabricated for 20 years. And I prayed upon it, and I just felt like giving it a try. And so I did. And it didn't start out easy. It was another opportunity for me to be dependent upon someone outside myself. So a lot of prayer. And I just kept at it. And through about a year or 2, I started getting sales, finding a niche. Customer service is something that I became pretty good at. And for the same reasons why the things I learned at the Salvation Army is because I really do care. I care about my customers. I want my yeses to be yeses. And so it just kind of transferred from there. And I over about a 4-year period, I kind of started excelling at it and doing well. Had an opportunity to partner up with a good friend of mine and start our own. And we started another company, not the A-Team. And we were at that for 2 years. It didn't work out. We had another partner involved, and just the partnership didn't work out. So then we got to be the A-Team the following year, and it's just taken off. I mean, we've done well with it. Hasn't been easy. It's been a battle, but every day we do a devotional, and we just keep at it. We bring other guys into our company that, we like to look at the roofing industry just like our lives. It's roofing industry is all about restoration. We do roofing side and windows. We're taking out the old and putting the new in. And we take that same attitude into the people we invest in. A lot of guys that come to us, and the whole industry is riddled with guys that are looking for opportunity and have lost opportunity. Mm-hmm. So it's just it's a great fit. It's just a great fit. That's how and so A-Team, we're going into our 10th year. We're strong. We went from just 3 of us, hired 1 employee. Now we're up to 5 employees, and I think as we sit, we had at a high 14 reps in our company. Today, I think we're sitting at 9. We lost some, and but we're in real good shape.
Nice. So that's a leap of faith, huh? To go out on your own and to start your own company. How did that feel?
I'll be honest with you. It was a leap of faith, but I felt confident, and here's why I felt confident. Not that I would succeed, that it really didn't matter, because as long as I'm walking with God, I'm going to learn something here, and it's. I look at everything nowadays as an opportunity to grow as a man, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and so I really didn't feel like it was a leap of faith. I felt like no matter what I do, He's got me, and He will direct my path. And putting that faith and seeing it transpire to where it is today, it's just another testament of the willingness to allow God to move into our life. And that's what we call real faith, I guess. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear people talk about that all the time, and a lot of people have these really great testimonies, and I just sit over here like, well, I'm still learning, but every time I hear stories like that, and I try to reflect on that in my own life, I think it's happening. I know it's happening. It's just a lot harder for me to see it in myself than it is, to see it in other people or to hear other people talk about it. Yeah, I mean, we're all just on this journey. I mean, you've been successful with the A-Team for 10 years, and Tom, you've been doing this for 16-ish, 15-ish, 16, 10 years officially, and I'm just sitting over here realizing like, oh, I've been a part of it for 4. It's just time and perspective and everything. I'm just kind of sitting over here, just kind of processing all of it. It's cool. It's cool.
So how does your faith influence your interactions with the people that work for you?
It's quite strong. It's kind of scary. No, that's the scary part. The hardest thing I've dealt with, especially over the last five years, is my role in the leadership. And go back to the Salvation Army, as we talked about earlier, about not feeling qualified. But I'm going to be honest, I've struggled with that a little bit. I've struggled with that leadership role because people do, they look at my faith. And I don't want to let no one down, because I'm not perfect. I'm just a human being, and I have my struggles just like everyone else. But if you really want to know, I was talking to someone today about how I'm going to go do this podcast. I get anxiety. I deal with anxiety, and he goes, "Oh, you'll do great. You do great at that stuff." And I'm like, I don't see that myself. So to be able to sit down and we prayed about it, and to let God into our lives, to have Him direct the path and not myself. So people see that around there, and it really boils back to the fact that when you really do care, people recognize that, they see that, but you really need to care. And I care about my employees more than I care about myself. I care about my customers more than I care about myself. Mm-hmm. It ain't that I don't care about myself, but they're really, really important to what we do. Yeah. They're the reason why we do what we do. So that's a lot of pressure. And there's been moments of like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. But then you sit back, you let things go, and you get back to the simplicity of what life really is, and that's caring, loving, be kind, treat your neighbor like you treat yourself, and it's just think of others first. Be a service, and that's what I love about my industry. We are in service, in the service industry. We're meant to serve. So,
I know I got a new roof last year. Not from A-Team, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
But it's a nerve-wracking process.
Yeah.
And the company we went through was fine, but not necessarily pretty corporate feeling. And for us, it was this huge expense and this huge thing on our biggest investment, which is our house. And we just didn't get the level of care that I had hoped for. If I had to do it all over again, I would call you first. But it means so much because we can lose sight of the fact that a customer, or in our case, a veteran, this is the biggest thing going on in their life, and we have this role to play that can be really negative, or it can be really positive. And you can look at that as pressure or anxiety inducing, but it's really an opportunity to be that positive in someone's life and make it a good experience. And so I'm sure your values and your outlook, I'm sure they filter down through the other people in your company, and then it filters to the customer, and it's got to feel good to have an influence like that, that you can affect, like you say, like, well, it's a roofing company, but really you have the ability to affect people's lives in a positive way. And so because of that, it's so much more than a roofing company. And that goes for any enterprise, really, but you just have the ability to impact people in a way that, like the company that did our roof, I wouldn't call them back to do my windows. I just didn't get that warm and fuzzy feeling from it. Like, did they care or not? Not really. I was just part of I was a head of cattle going through a chute. You know what I mean? Like, they're just on to the next one, and so it's got to be so impactful. So if you sit back and really consider what you're doing, I think a lot of people, and maybe including yourself, can sit back and say, we're doing roofs, we're doing siding, we're doing windows, but what we're doing is serving people. And you alluded to that already, but
Yeah.
but it's such a cool opportunity to be able to touch people in a way that shows them you care. And someone's got a leaky roof, that's a disaster in my house, and I'm sure in a lot of houses. And to come in and fix it right, and to do it fairly, and to do it in a way that leaves people with a positive feeling, has got to be nice.
Yeah, I tell you, at A-Team, our greatest victories ain't the great work we've done. It's been our biggest mistakes we've made. Because when you working on someone's house, and it's construction, and things can happen, and mistakes are made, and we have a lot of moving parts going on. And a perfect example is a year ago, one of my reps was out in the field, and we had a beautiful home up in northern Minnesota that we were working on, and he was a standing seam roof, and he put the wrong color down. Well, that came into production, and we put that color on, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it was the wrong color, and he called, well, what are we going to do? And his first thought was, I'm going to lose all this money. I said, yeah, you're going to lose money, but that's how you learn. Take the experience as a learning experience, and I'll handle the rest from here. And the nice thing about it was, when I got to the customers, they were totally expecting a fight. I mean, they already contacted a lawyer. And couple things went bad here. Not only did we put the wrong color roof on, but in the process, there was another thing in the production that said we were doing gutters. And so my roofers didn't take very good care of the gutters while we were re-roofing it. So I walked around and I could see him gearing up for a fight, but I already knew what I was going to do. You're going to do what's right, right? And so really apologize you're going through this. My rep's a really good rep, and he works very hard. He just made a mistake, and I just said it like that. And the bottom line is that mistake falls on me. I'm an owner of A-Team Construction. We talk about taking personal responsibility. Before they can even speak, I told them exactly what we're going to do, and I'm going to replace your roof to the right color. And I noticed it's your gutters are all scratched up on this back wall, and it was pretty bad. I mean, I seen it when I walked up, and that's not acceptable for A-Team work. And so we're going to do it all. And they were just like, they couldn't even. I mean, their mouth fell open. They that experience to them, and it cost us some money. It cost us a lot of money, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's doing the things, doing what's right, and that's what's right. And goes back to our lives, taking personal responsibility. We filter that in our work too. Good things come. So, like I said, that's the thing about with A-Team. It's not, we do a lot of great work, but it's typically the mistakes that go the furthest with our company in a positive way. So
you just can't teach that anymore. That gut feeling to do it right, to fix your mistakes, and I think that's what I get. And Tom, you and I just had a conversation about it. I tend to get so wrapped up in the people doing it wrong that I don't take the time to acknowledge the folks that are doing it right, or give myself credit for doing it right. And yeah, I mean, just I was thinking too when you guys were talking about getting the warm and fuzzy. Like, there's only one place I'll buy a car anymore. It's because they made it a good experience, and you can't teach that either. So, hats off to you for having it and working to instill that in all your employees as well.
yeah.
And I think, and same, like we have a mechanic that we've been taking our cars to for 15 years, and we'll continue to. Not because they're the cheapest, but because they do it right. They stand by their work, and they rely on their faith as well. And while we're not a faith-based organization per se, it's certainly a huge influence. And I think that it's a common denominator. You see people, companies that do it right. More often than not, there's faith in there somewhere, in their leadership, somewhere in their corporate culture. There's a sentiment of faith, and I think what it is that moral underpinning that says we're gonna do it right, and if we screw it up, we're gonna admit it instead of fighting with people and trying to get out of stuff, and so it's this it's an amazing thing. This country was built on those moral underpinnings, and it can be a lost art today in our culture of instant gratification and excess and lack of personal responsibility. But it sounds like you guys are out there in the community doing it right, and how often does a customer get a roof in a lifetime? Maybe twice.
Maybe twice. We do live in a state that's deemed a catastrophe state when you come to storms. So some may get a few. I mean, there's areas where they'll go through a period of time where they get, say, 4 roofs in 10 years, just because of their location. Sure. It's a area that gets, it's more storm prone. But outside of that, yeah, 2 roofs is about right. In the state of Minnesota, you you sell lifetime shingles. What's lifetime? Lifetime shingles, 50 years. But the truth is, 18 to 20 years, you should replace your roof. Expansion, contraction from the elements, the rock starts to fall off, and fiber underneath starts to get exposed to sunlight and then the heat and cold. And it just, so 20 years, you should get a new roof. And we're able to offer, a great product. And bottom line is that really the great product is, who are you dealing with? And that's, we kind of touched on that, but that really is where your product comes from. I can't guarantee everything. I don't make the shingle. I don't install the shingle. But what I can guarantee is, and it's no different than our life, is I can guarantee accountability and responsibility. That's what we have in our lives. That's what we can guarantee others. And when we learn that, and we learn to follow that, it's faith, not faith. It comes back to the word we talked about earlier, and that's love. That's what really being a good neighbor is all about.
And so I've always been interested in the construction industry, not because I'm good at it. I am awful at it. I almost cried one time because I just couldn't make a miter cut, and I still can't. But that being said, I just I wonder, in the industry overall, including insurance companies and everything you have to deal with when it comes to a customer's interaction with you, how much do you advocate for that customer? Do you stand in the background, or are you kind of side by side as you walk through it?
Side by side. It has to be. And it's with the insurance policies changing like they have, and the insurance companies are like, hey, wait a minute, we need to have the homeowners, the insurance companies don't want to be a homeowner's maintenance plan, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And we stand side by side. We guide them, direct them. As a contractor, what I can talk about in the state of Minnesota is scope of work. But I can let a homeowner know, hey, know what your policy is, and that's between you and your agent. Figure out what that is. We do have to follow state code. And the insurance company is responsible that if I do a repair on a property, then I'm following state Minnesota code. Okay? And so we guide them in that direction, and we help them, and we do negotiate with the insurance company all the time. It's gotten harder. The economy's been bad. We went through the pandemic. So expectation is, hey, when things are good, everything's good. But when they're not, everything's not. So it's been a lot harder, but we stand by them. We do a real good job, not allowing technicalities to, slip the homeowner for that opportunity where they should be covered. So, yeah, when you talk about miters, Tom, I can't cut a miter either. And you know what? I really don't even want to start to learn. Like I said earlier, I fabricated for 20 years. I don't really want to learn the construction. But what I can do is I can find guys that do a really, really good job at it. And that really frustrated me early on when I was in this industry. It's like, here I got this construction company. I can't cut a miter, right? But I really learned, and this is what I got from the Salvation Army, I really learned my role and what I'm supposed to be doing, especially in ownership, and that's giving my employees opportunities. So
I think that's what frustrates me most is I'm in this position, and I know I want to help veterans, and to not be able to do something, or to be in a position where I feel like I should be able to provide something and not being able to do it. So that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is trying to make sure that I am as capable as I can be, and slowly but surely realizing that I cannot do it all. It is not possible.
And my dad, who just passed here this last summer, but he was an executive with Coca-Cola for a long time, and then when he left Coke, he was looking for an opportunity, and he was going to buy an Amco transmission shop, and he couldn't even change oil, and the advice he got is you're going to get killed because you don't know anything about the business. And his response was, I don't need to know anything about the business. I just need to find people I can trust that do. And he ended up not going into that franchise, but he did something else. But I always kept that lesson that you don't have to know everything. You just have to have a good group of people who are dedicated to moving in the same direction, that are fair and that show love, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really does. It does take a team. We're not meant to be here and do it alone. And it's finding good people, and encouraging, empowering the opportunity that's in front of them. And that's what really builds good, solid businesses that can create good, solid communities. And that was the goal with A-Team. And, when you said that thing about the minor, it hit home with me because I have that same frustration. And it's there's things I can't do, but I've learned that. And this is why we've kind of grown in our employee, because I've opened up some doors for new people to come in and do new things, because you can't do it all. And I tried. I thought I had to do all this. That's what being a leader was. And I learned that no, what a really good leader does is empower those minds and smarter minds of my own to have opportunity through what we have. That makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense, and it's all about people, and it's whether you're trying to move on from some rough years, or going through a program like Salvation Army, or building a company like A-Team, or every third Saturday. It's all about people, and that's what we see. There's lots of veteran service organizations, for instance, but when the people in them are in it for reasons other than supporting veterans, it shows.
Yeah,
you can see it, and it might work for a while. It might even work for a long while, but at the end of the day, I'd much rather know that we impacted 10 people than to have 100 people come through and we didn't impact any of them. And so it's really valuable to keep your eye on the prize and really remember why you do what you do. And you can get lost in the details and the pressure of life and all that stuff. And that it really means everything to just keep looking up and realize that this is all about people, and I wonder if you've experienced that.
Oh, 100%. I was able to, Johnny invited me down for the 25th graduation.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 25th cohort.
Yes.
I get that correct? Okay. And it was pretty powerful, and it really shows what you guys are doing here. The testament to your guys' care about people in the community. And what really kind of really hit me was the very first graduate of your program was here at that time. Mm-hmm. And to see, they say don't look back, but sometimes I feel you should look back just to see how far you come. Mm-hmm. And to be able to be a part of that. And part of the reason I'm a part of you guys is for what you do. I've been through what you are trying to do. And through our opportunity, I get to give opportunity to those doing that others have done for me personally in my own life. And watching you guys do that it's amazing. It's an amazing experience from sitting outside and kind of just seeing it from a distance, and being able to attend here and there, and even to be able to sit right here right now and talk to you guys about this. And it goes a long way to people out there that struggle. A lot of people, I think shame rules a lot of people's lives, and if they can hear one piece of hope from one human being that can help break down that wall of shame, we got a chance here.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Oh, I am right there with you, Bob. That's sometimes it can happen quickly. Sometimes it's one interaction or two interactions, but sometimes, like, we've seen it. There's a veteran that I know very well. I've been coming around for longer than I've been apart, but didn't even say a word to anybody for 2 years. And now sometimes we can't get him to stop talking and get out the door. So it's just cool that it's other people out there. They come in a wide variety, and you never know. Life's like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get.
Absolutely.
So, I think we covered it pretty well. Anything that you can think of that you'd like to bring up?
I just want to say I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity, because like I said earlier on, this is hard on me. This is something that I've struggled with my whole life. I'm kind of an introvert. I like to sit over here, right?
Sure.
But you said something earlier about the Salvation Army, and this is kind of what's helped me get outside of that. So being able to come over, I remember when Monica from the office brought it up, and I said, no, I need to do that. That's why. And I'm going to say, did I want to? No, because of my anxiety. But I know in myself, this is what helps me, and I appreciate that. And I thank you guys for giving me this opportunity.
Well, it was great to have you. Thank you so much for what you do and how you do it, and also how excellent a partner A-Team is of every third Saturday. It means more than financial resources. It means that you believe in what we're doing. And,
Absolutely.
And when someone that's doing it right, like you guys, looks at us and says, every third Saturday is doing it right as well, that's a great endorsement. That's the best endorsement we can get, besides a veteran saying we got it. But thank you so much for being on, and you didn't seem nervous at all. So
No, I think you nailed it.
I struggle with it. It's a personal thing.
It's real. It's absolutely
it's a real deal. And with that being said, if anyone listens and hears that, you can do it. You can, and it's just letting down that wall and allowing others to be a part of your life, and being able to share, even if it's uncomfortable. It's important to us.
It's taking those opportunities by the horns when they come. Too,
Absolutely.
I think now we were going to wrap up, but now I'm going to go a little bit longer.
Do it.
I think everybody. How many doors do we pass by without even knocking on them? And you don't. Just try.
Yeah.
Just open it and see what's on the other side. That's all.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, like I said, we are every third Saturday. You can find us at everythirdsaturday.org on the internet, or if you'd like to donate, you can call or text.
Well, you can text us
the word HOPE.
Yep. You have the paper.
I have to say it.
952-234-7234. Of course, you can donate on the website as well, whether it's time, money, in-kind donations. That's how we run our store. So.
That's right. That's how it all works. So, all right. Well, that's all we got.
See you next time.
Thank you.